This is the $1 Million Mortgage Experience Podcast. I am your host, Jon Maddux. Welcome to the show. All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Andy Dane Carter. We're talking about post-COVID real estate, talking about kind of the crisis, what's going on right now, opportunities that are coming in real estate. So tune in and welcome to the show. So Andy, let's talk about real estate post-COVID.
I love real estate.
Like, obviously, there was a gap, right? There was pre-COVID and then post-COVID. A lot of people hunkered down for 60, 90 days. It was supposed to be 2 weeks,
Right.
But I don't know if that was like, here's 2 weeks, okay, and then you know how like they slowly turn up
weeks.
2 more weeks, 2 more weeks, 2 more, and the data really did. We can talk about that another time, but the data didn't really show that was like necessary. But real estate, I think there was two camps. There was one camp that was like, real estate is going to get crushed. No one's going to want to own a house, and everyone's going to sell, and people are going to foreclose, and there's going to be another '08. And then there's the camp that I'm in, which is everyone has equity. Everyone's, protecting that equity. There's a lot of reasons why in '08 you couldn't sell, so you had to foreclose, right? There was no other option. Now I think if people can't make their payments and they want to move, they're going to just sell, Talk to me about what you're seeing out there, because I know you do a ton of real estate and investing. So
yeah, thanks, man. We saw a ton. It was a very cool time and a very weird time. So you're 100% correct. There was two camps.
Yeah,
we were coming off one of the hottest first quarters in 7 years for the
fire.
business. Like every listing, 8 to 13 offers. Everything is going over.
Yeah,
humongous market push. Right. And then COVID-19.
You cannot go and see anyone, like
Right.
lockdown.
So that scared the majority,
Right.
and it motivated the minority, because we had a lot of buyers that we kept getting beat out because there was so many offers and people going so far over. I'd convinced all of our buyers to look. Now we have less competition. It's still a great time to buy real estate, and here's why.
Yeah.
And that's when I just went into the facts. I didn't go into the fear and everything else. I'm like, what's the data? So we got around the smartest minds in the industry, and we started to pull facts, mathematical facts, which is how we invest,
Right.
which is how we help all of our buyers and sellers in the traditional game, right?
Yeah.
If like someone's freaked out and scared,
Yeah.
the only thing that's going to calm them down is the truth.
Right.
So that's what we got to. So we got some awesome numbers. So 47 to 48% of the houses across this country here in the US are free and clear.
That's massive.
There is no mortgage.
Right.
That was not the case.
Hear that, mortgage brokers? Call those people. Get them a
Call us
loan.
HELOCs. Have me yank out some cash.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to talk about that too. And then 67% of the homes, like across the whole country, have more than 60% equity.
It's a massive amount.
These are huge numbers.
Yeah.
And this is not some number that I made up. This is like this is data.
Right.
Hard data. So what that let me speak to all my clients, my investors, my like first-time home buyers, sellers in like the low space all the way up to 20, 30 million space.
Right.
This is not a real estate crumble or something that has to do with the real estate market.
Right.
This was a medical thing that affected the real estate economy in the short term.
Yeah.
And our financial, we have a hockey stick correction with the stock market. The stock market was down yesterday a little bit. It's rebounding today. But
It's kind of like the Nike swoosh, maybe, right? Like that's what they're saying it can happen. But then there's guys saying, well, this is just the bounce. But the bounce is pretty big. It's a big bounce.
It's pretty big, and
because usually bounces are sort of small.
They're small. It's a big bounce because it's based on hard data that we already have. It's still a good market.
Yeah.
Interest rates, I'm blown away every day that
so
these
low.
Buyers call me and they're like, I just got 2.8.
Yeah. You're like, that's amazing.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
So we have a strong economy. We have a strong buyer pool, a strong seller pool, lack of inventory.
And a lot of equity.
And tons of equity. So here's something that I want all of your listeners to hear is in 2008, we had $976 billion in seconds and bad loans.
That's almost $1 trillion.
Almost $1 trillion in financial crisis, right?
Right.
Right now we have 79 billion in seconds and HELOCs and all of that other stuff which is nothing compared to what it was during this crash.
Right.
Real estate market's not going to crash. I got bad news for a lot of people that are out there waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, I'm just going to wait on the sidelines for the values to go down." Sorry.
And then the Fed just decided to say, like, we're going to keep the interest rates at 0.
Yeah, for a couple of years maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer there's going to be all kinds of craziness because we're in an election year. It happens every election since the beginning of the elections.
Wait, there's an election this year?
Yeah, you wouldn't know it, but 100%.
You wouldn't know it.
Right, so that's going to stabilize. We'll probably have a dip in December, possibly January. It's going to fire back up in February, and then we're probably going to have 2 to 3 more solid years.
Right.
Come year 4 from right now,
right.
I have no idea what's going to happen. I know we're going to have 2 or 3 solid years ahead of us.
Yeah, I feel I'm with you on that 100% because it's the data, and it's like we always talked about. I think in 2008 was the musical chairs, right? There's like supply and demand. That's the game of musical chairs. Where there's not enough chairs, right? And someone loses. Same thing with real estate. If you have too many buyers, and not enough sellers, prices go up. If you have too many sellers and not enough buyers, prices go down. And rates are rates, but rates also change the supply and demand of who qualifies, what they can qualify for, and then it just changes the price. So I'm with you on that. The supply and demand is huge, and right now the supply of real estate is super low. Let's shift and talk a little bit about Airbnb because I thought when all this happened and Airbnb got crushed for the couple months that they were crushed for, or 3 months, that all those homes were going to go on the market. But I think what they did, and what I've heard, maybe you can tell me if this is right, these homes went on kind of more month to month instead of weekly or daily. They went on month to month in like longer term leases. Some of them probably got longer term leases. Some of them didn't, but Airbnb is back on. So people are like, all right, we're good. Put them back on Airbnb. But I thought that was going to be maybe a flood of real estate into the market. Has that changed at all?
Me too. So I thought that exact same thing. And I spent 2 days strategizing on it. I was sending out letters to those people.
Yeah.
We had some success with that, but not as much as I thought.
Yeah.
Because
they have equity.
They have tons of equity.
Yeah.
We had a couple groups approach us that's their sole business. One of them had 16 properties that had 90 days of cancellations. And they're like, we have over $100 and something thousand in monthly mortgages.
Yeah.
We now have to pay for those. They
Right.
sold 6, kept 10, and refied out their positions because they were in a good spot. And I think half are on a year lease and the other half are back to doing what they did before.
Right.
So they just retooled and restructured. Same thing with the second group that came to us. They had 20. We bought 2. But all that did is just give them a little bit of cash to survive.
Sure.
And this was a quick recovery.
Very quick. Quick down.
Quick down, quick up.
Quick up, yeah.
We had a global shutdown. Global medical pandemic.
Like, even if you were in a time travel and you came back, 6 months ago to me and said, dude, the whole country's going to shut down for 3 months, I would just laugh. Like, there's no way it's not going to happen.
There's no way.
But it was crazy.
It was crazy. And so many people freaked out.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people that saw the opportunities. I mean, we tripled all of our digital ad spends. We tripled all of our budgets for print.
Wow.
Because here's what I knew. People were going to be opening up mail like it was 1954 again. Because they're at home.
Yeah. They're like, what's this pile of mail, honey?
Yeah. And they're opening mail. So we started to mail very specific things to investors.
Dude, you're so smart.
Very specific things to all the different people.
Yeah.
I turned into a crazy person. It drove my wife nuts.
Wow.
I had this whiteboard and it was like Goodwill Hunting. I'm like, here's what we're doing, this and this. And then we got very specific with all of our strategic Facebook ads to go on top of those mailers.
Wow.
And then we did tons of digital open houses, which we were doing anyways. So it was a really easy transition for us.
Are you using the 3D camera and all that? Or do you guys just
don't like...
Yeah.
Sorry, Matterport. You guys are great. It's just not my jam because it's too computerized. For me, I want to be on film and I want to explain to you...
Like, here, what you're looking at, this nook and that, and, the high ceilings, and, you can't really see high ceilings on a camera. That's
the personal touch that I think that the Matterport doesn't have. Right. And for me, it's also branding.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's a slow pan of the door opening. Hey, everybody, welcome to 4229 Clubhouse Drive.
Right.
And then I walk you through the property.
Just like if you were there.
Just like if you're there. It's a digital video. We sold 6 houses with no open houses, no showings, nothing from our digital open houses.
That's awesome.
So we tripled down on all of those things because people are at home on their phones. Their kids are running around, screaming, Zoom meetings for school. Right. Everybody's now like a stay-at-home parent.
They're tired of, there's nothing good on normal TV, so they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook. Everyone's seeing everything what's going on Facebook anyway, so you throw an ad in there, like you got their attention.
We spent so much money. And then we dove deep into Nextdoor because it's a hyper-localized thing.
Sure, yeah.
And I love to help people. Yeah. And I was like, look, if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old and you're scared and you don't want to go pick up like your food and you don't want to go pick up like your stuff and your prescriptions.
Right.
I'm 43. I'm healthy. I live in the neighborhood. Call me. I'll come help you.
Wow.
Like, so I was filled with so much joy to help these people.
Yeah.
Not knowing that everybody was going to share it and repost it. So now we're doing all this good for the community.
It's awesome.
And it's also helping our business. So being a good person was a really good move.
That's a good decision to make. And,
it always
for
is.
some people, it naturally occurs. Like, I want to help, right? Like my wife's like that. She's anything she sees opportunities to help, she does.
Yes.
Me, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I should probably do that. But it just doesn't like happen in my mind naturally. I mean, sometimes, but and there's good and bad and other things, but like some people it naturally comes, and others can look at it and go like, that's a good strategy, right? And that's still good too, because even if you don't naturally think of doing those things, you can say, well, you know what, that's a win-win, because it's going to win, and you're not necessarily being, bad at like, I'm going to do this for the wrong reasons. You're helping someone, but you're also like, look, if I can meet new people and make new friends and
help,
and that I'm sure will come back to you. Like pay it forward, right?
It's always a good business strategy to help your local community.
Right.
I don't care what the climate. I don't care if the market's going up, market's going down, and it's a lockdown.
Yep.
It's so cool to watch a community kind of come together when there's some kind of tragedy or drama. Right. That's when the real stuff shakes out, and that's when you can make a big difference in your community. And that's what I told all of our agents across all of Southern California. It's like, look, dig into your community.
Right.
That will create brand like you will not be able to do on a Facebook ad. Trust me.
Right.
And create that from a place of being authentic with it too.
Right. So also, if you look back at like another crisis we had, 9/11, right? Where people all came together. It was like a unifying.
Flags everywhere.
People were just like loved America.
Yes.
And this last one is very divisive, like the riots and this stuff that's been happening, like the COVID thing. Like half the world is like, we can't leave their house or we're gonna die. Half the world is like, screw that. There's the data shows it's not bad.
Screw the government, they did it.
Yeah, there's the labs in Wuhan. There's all this stuff, right? There's so much information. It's hard to disseminate it all, and so there's naturally going to be a lot of people on both sides, and I think that's divided a lot of people. That's such a great idea for a way to, let's not look at these division things. Let's put together something where we're just helping people. We see a need, and that's huge.
That's how it grows. Like, you have to start with you. Yeah. Everybody wants to be on their soapbox and we're going to change the world and all this big stuff.
Right.
What are you doing in your family?
Right.
What are you changing within the walls that you live in?
Right.
That's where all this stuff starts.
Yeah.
Hatred, racism, this stuff, yes, it's magnified outside.
Right.
It starts at home.
Yeah, it's like, what can you do instead of just spouting out stuff and being the loudest voice? What are you actually doing with your feet and your hands? And like I one of the things, this is totally off topic, but one of the things I've been getting into a lot is child trafficking, and not getting into it, but like learning about it, becoming aware of it.
It's real.
It's huge. And there's slavery today in America with kids and around the world, and to me, that's just such a gnarly thing that we don't talk about, right? That there still is slavery today in America, and kids are being kidnapped, and it's like in the millions. I think it's 2 million or something like that. But and so, like, instead of blasting it out, and I don't want to talk about it too much here, but just going and supporting, right? Supporting groups that are fighting that, or supporting groups that are fighting racism.
Yeah, and within your community.
Yeah, or like localized.
That's
right. I think that's a good way to not only just help with what's the problem in America, but also to help your business grow as well. And that's so like, people are stuck in their houses, right?
Yep.
And they're realizing like, oh my God, I do not like my wife.
Yes.
Or, oh my God, I really love my wife and I need to have a baby with her.
Yes.
There's like this division in the society, but then there's a division at home where, you're realizing like, I really like my wife when I only saw her at, from 6 p.m.
2 hours
to
a day.
8 p.m. Yeah. And now it's like, gosh, or the wife's like, God, my husband is lazy as F, like, and he doesn't want to take the trash out. He's not helping around the house. And I know he's not working. So he's either, so there's I think there's this magnification of what's going on at home, which in turn turns into home listings because there's divorce and then there's babies coming. So like, shoot, we got a 2-bedroom, we need a 3-bedroom, and stuff like that. Like, what have you seen in that world?
We've seen a ton in that space. So, and you are 100% correct. It put a magnifying glass on the good and the bad. So you're like, you never do the dishes, but then you also realize like we're spending a lot of time together. You look really good. You know what I mean? So it's created this whole thing. What we had a lot of conversations with is a lot of people that like live by the water. They've got these beautiful homes that are 3 stories. They have their sweet little boat dock and all that good stuff, but they have no land.
Yeah.
They have 3 kids that they're used to going to school all day and then coming back. They have a 3-bedroom. They don't have a home office set up really.
Right.
And they're realizing like,
the dog's there barking.
I cannot do anything. I can't get work done. I feel terrible for my kids because there's no place for them to play.
Right.
I'm now yelling at them to be quiet, even though I bought this house for us with no yard.
Right.
So there's been all of those conversations where people want to either trade up to a smaller house with more land or a bigger house, more stuff.
Right.
Or they're sick of California. They want out. We helped a lot of people leave the state.
Really?
So
I knew that was coming with the
for
lockdowns.
sure.
Like, they're like, people are looking online and going, oh my God, dude, like Florida's open or Arizona's open or Nashville, right? Nashville, Austin.
Exploded, yeah.
Right.
So we helped a lot of people go to like Nevada, a lot of people go to Arizona. It's a play and it's a time. And like a lot of people are just like, look, I'm over it. I've been over it for a long time. Right. This was the tipping point. Now there's riots again. I'm done.
Yeah.
So, but there's a conversation around like, it's so funny, especially, with like married couples. We get into these routines. There's all these different stages. Like when the kids are small and they're babies, it's very family. It's very cute because it's very new and all this other cool stuff. Right. And then they get bigger and older and have more stuff. And so there's all these different chapters to life.
Totally.
So I like to help people like, which chapter are you in?
Yeah.
Like your kids aren't small little babies anymore.
Right.
And your kids are off to college. I got good and bad news for you. Yeah. They're not going to like come back to your dream house that you built.
They don't want to be.
They're creating their own lives.
You hope, right? I mean, there's some that come back and live in the basement. But
yeah, that's bad too, though.
Yeah, right. You don't want that. But
no. So for us, it was like having these truthful conversations, and it's the same with our investors. Like, where are you at with your portfolio? Does it make sense to maybe sell in California this $3 million, like 12-unit building and go buy a 100-unit thing in Memphis?
Right.
Or, somewhere in Tennessee that's exploding. So it's been a lot of conversations on what do I do, Andy?
Yeah.
And then again, it goes right back to the data. Look, here's where we're at. Everything that I do is based on math.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all. Some people, like you said, with the chapters of their life, like what are they doing? I think for mortgage brokers too, you can ask that question because, people have financial plans, right? And they want to do some different things, whether it's buy rental properties and that's a question right now I think that's going through a lot of people's minds is like, if I buy a rental property, are people going to pay? The tenants, are they going to pay? Are they, are they just not going to pay and it's just going to be a bad investment? Or do I buy an Airbnb? Because then what if COVID shuts down again and then we can't do Airbnb? So how do you answer those questions for these, these people? Like, what do you tell them? Like,
sure. It's the same as this right here.
Yeah.
I get very clear on who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And I try to find out where their risk threshold is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, if you want zero risk, here's what I would do. I would buy a fourplex, safe, secure, long loan. It's not commercial. Maybe you have like one of the units is an Airbnb.
Sure.
And that's just a constant cycle. That thing cycles out, whatever.
Yeah.
and then the rest are long term. So it's going to cover a large chunk of the mortgage.
Like the 3 will cover the mortgage, and then the 4th is all profit.
That's your profit and cash flow.
Right.
You could leave it vacant for a month because you have somebody coming like here to town, friends or family or whatever, or that becomes a unit for your son or daughter that comes back from college for a year to get them back on their feet.
Right.
So we try to plan for what you actually want.
Yeah. Ask a lot of questions.
A ton of questions.
Yeah.
Tons and tons and tons of questions. And then we get really clear on what kind of product's going to work best for you.
Sure.
Is it a house? Is it a huge building? Is it a smaller building?
Right.
And then we kind of go from there. People aren't going to not pay rent. So when this whole thing hit, we got way ahead of it. Mm-hmm. We reached out to all of our tenants across the country. We sent them letters. We sent them new leases, new contracts, new everything, and said, look, we're here to work with you.
Yep.
No one's getting evicted. No one's getting kicked out, and we're not raising anybody's rents.
That's good.
But this is our family's business.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you can't afford it, we can't afford it.
Right.
So I don't want to be put in a position where it's me or you.
Yep. That's so smart.
So I stayed way in front of it. I'm like, look, I want to help your family. Here's what we can do. And we made it an individual basis. We only had 2 people that couldn't pay rent for 2 months.
Wow.
We got them back. We put on the back end of their lease. But because I was approaching them, not waiting, ooh, what are my tenants going to do?
Yeah.
It's like parenting.
It's such a good point of view, because I think the initial reaction is oh, F them if they're not going to pay. Like, I'm going to evict them,
That's
right?
reactionary.
That's reactionary. But
Right.
if you're like, look, hey, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
I know you need to understand, too, by you not paying, that affects my family.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we win together versus, being just reactionary, like you said?
At war. Like,
At
I
war,
came from a place
right.
of love,
Right.
not a place of like, I'm the landlord, bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum.
Right.
Because that does nothing.
Right.
That puts a bigger wedge between myself and my tenants.
And it makes them want to, defend and react.
Watch this. I'm
yeah.
not going to pay for 90 days.
Yeah,
because
try to evict me.
Right.
Like, the cops aren't going to evict me. Like.
And I'm like, little do you know, they will.
Yeah.
They might not want to, but the law is still on our side and on your side.
Yeah.
There are rules and things that we can and can't do. So for me, it was, how do we come at this thing with the least amount of casualties?
Yeah.
And
that's
it
smart.
And it worked. And we got super lucky, but at the same time, we stayed in front of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with media. It's the same with all of this other stuff. Like,
Right.
all this doom and gloom when the market's going to crash, and I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
Wait for what? You're going to lose. Like, so I just stay in front of it.
Well, don't they say if there's blood on the streets, that's when you buy? Mm-hmm. That's like, I think when I saw the stock market shoot up, it was like one of the days when the riots were the worst. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm kind of seeing what's going on now, like with why people buy, and they wait for the jobs report, and if it's terrible, they buy, right? And the stock market goes up. You're like, or then on the flip side too, the market goes crazy when the jobs report are way better than expected. So it's hard to navigate that, but I know what you're saying, and it's I love the way your mind works and how you want to get ahead of things. Like you don't, like most people I think are reactionary, and I think that probably comes back to some of your disciplines that you have in your life. I think you said you meditate
Every
so
morning.
when you take time for yourself, like another thing about that is you're not letting someone else. You're not on autopilot. I think we've talked about that on another podcast, but you are taking control of the car, right? So when you meditate, you have time to reflect, think about what you can, and then things probably pop in your head, like what you got to do.
Always.
Do you have a journal that you put like?
Always.
Like to me, that's something I have not completely gotten into is meditation, and I think that is a huge thing that I want to add to my life this year. And
especially if you have a strong connection with God. I know you do. I do big time. That's when I get spoke to. Like when I'm calm and I'm open, like my heart's open, my mind's open. I'm in a very pure state. That's when the good stuff comes in.
Right.
Hence the journal.
Yeah.
Because it comes in like
do you
a
journal
whisper.
while you're there, or you
No.
wait? You wait
After I'm done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's every morning. It's literally like Groundhog Day. It's a little annoying, but it's what works.
Do you have another room you go into that?
No, I stay right where I'm at, and I literally sit up like Dracula, like sit up from bed, and I just get really comfortable and really calm, and I drop into a 10-minute meditation.
That's cool.
And then I sit in gratitude for 5 minutes.
Nice.
And then I kind of write down what comes to me.
Yeah.
I start to stretch out a little bit. Then I work out. I get my coffee. Then my boys wake up. I play with my kids. That fills up my heart.
That's cool.
So I don't let my day come to me. Like I go to the day
Yeah.
at my time, but that meditation in the morning, especially when there's drama going on in the world, that's my pause.
Right.
That's when I can get those really good ideas. And here was a perfect example. I was in a deep meditation, and as soon as I came out, I had this poof of like, we have 40 million people that aren't working.
Yep.
How many of them were in the hotel, bartenders, servers, were in the service industry that weren't our clients right now anyways?
Right.
Over 50% of them were in that field. 58% of the 40 million servers, bartenders, people that work in the hospitality industry that are literally cash,
airlines,
paycheck to paycheck. They're making $40K a year and they're traveling. They have a lifestyle play or they're young. They weren't our clients yet anyways, so it's not going to affect the real estate market as much as people thought.
Yep.
So I was like, let's go investigate that. I love Tom Ferry, he's my homie. I gave him a call. He's like, perfect timing. We're doing a show on that with these great minds from the East Coast. And I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So like it's those things that we have, and your daily disciplines will separate you on all of your levels. Like you want to lose weight, daily disciplines and daily consistencies. You want a better relationship at home, same thing.
Yeah, you got to do things over and over. You can't just try something once and be like, oh, didn't work, so guess that's not good. You got to keep, right?
Give yourself enough runway to win.
Right.
I tell people all the time, I love to start new stuff, but I know I'm going to fall on my face a lot in the beginning.
Yep.
So I give myself enough room for those wins to start to stack.
That's good.
Because that creates confidence.
That's so many people need to learn that, because I think it's easy now, and especially with we've had a good run in America, and things have been good, right?
Years.
Yeah, and things have been really good and easy in a way for a lot of people, right? With good paying jobs and lowest unemployment, until this all happened. And so, a lot of people think things should be easy. But then when a hard time comes, and like we've just seen, people fall on their face, reality check comes in, people are like, well, to hell with it, and I think that's because things have been so easy, and people haven't had to go through hard times, and as we know, my story, and I know some of your story, and it's like, that's what makes people like successful.
It gives you your medal.
Yeah.
Like that's what really gives you your medal. And here's the thing is, I think it's all hard.
Yeah.
I love to work out as much as I hate it.
Yeah.
I love business sometimes as much as I hate it. Like I think it's all hard.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're just okay with that.
It's like working out. If you're doing light weights, not hard. But if you're doing hard heavyweight, it's hard.
That's right.
Or you're just, trilling on the treadmill. It's not that hard. But if you're busting your ass running as fast as you can, or running the long, going the long marathon, it's definitely hard. So, in America, we've had a good run, good times. Now it's so uncertain, right? With the thought of COVID could come back, the thought of, could they shut down the economy again? Will Airbnb go back down? Tenants, we talked about that, but like the uncertainty of real estate. You think it's going to be a couple of years more? We got 2 or 3 years of a good run, low rates. What about the election? Do you think, I know things will calm down once the election's over?
Yes.
Whoever wins, it'll probably be calm no matter what.
Yes.
Because there'll be some more certainty. Okay, we're stuck with this guy for the next 4 years. Or, this new guy, we don't know what's up, but it's going to be at least less, crazy than that. So what are your thoughts on post-election real estate?
I think it's going to be a quiet December. I think there's going to be a lot of people just kind of like slowly taking in what happened, whichever direction it goes.
Not my president, or
all
on
that
both
stuff.
sides, right?
Right. We buy very heavy the month of December because a lot of people aren't looking. They're on vacation.
I love buying in December.
We go really hard. So I'm looking forward to that time because I think there's going to be tremendous opportunity.
The ones that leave their house on the market usually need to sell.
Correct.
Because no one wants people coming through their house in December.
100%.
But if it's on the market, they're motivated.
And they want to get out in this particular tax year. So there's all kinds of things that we use to help them make that decision.
Right.
But for me, it's to always have the tools you need. Yeah. That's why I'm super grateful that I got deep into real estate in 2008, 9, 10, when everything was sideways.
Right.
Because guess what? If everything goes sideways, it doesn't affect me.
Right.
I have those tools in my toolbox. Always be learning new stuff and try to be a little bit ahead of it if possible.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't care if the market goes down. I'm going to lose some money on paper for the buildings I have,
Right.
but the opportunity well outweighs that.
Right. And gives you some more chances to buy some cheap real estate.
Of course.
So that you kind of sound like a Bob right now.
Yes.
Because you've been through some
Yes.
some stuff, some shit, and like hard times a little bit, and we're going through that again. I know we talked on the last podcast about Bobs. You have the Bobs group.
I have the Bobs. Yep. They're
And-
like the secret ninjas.
because they've been through maybe 5 or 4 crises.
Cycles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell me about it. Have you called the Bobs or met with the Bobs in this crisis?
Oh yeah. No, I talk to them all the time, and I've met with them once they weren't super afraid of everything.
Sure, because they're older.
So I'm trying to use that side of my brain more. Like I'm 75.
Yeah. Like,
Not
what would you
43.
do? Right.
What would you guys do? And they've got such wisdom.
Right.
And I mean, there was a huge pivot that I made about a year ago because of a meeting with one of the Bobs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, look, we've never invested outside of our little area. Like you're going all over the country and you're speaking at all these events and you're creating this big thing.
Yeah.
Why don't you just aim that ship at your local community and you'll be amazed what happens? So that sunk in, and I started this whole team and started to build out this other thing and company.
Yeah, I saw that shift. I remember you started focusing back in Long Beach.
Yeah. And like now we have this real estate team, and now we've partnered with this unbelievable company called The Address, and we're scaling that out. So like now you see me posting about like signs in the front yard with my face on it.
Yeah.
Because it's fun for me. Like that part of real estate I skipped over. I went straight to the investing side.
Right.
So now I'm learning something new. So in the next 2 or 3 years or 4 years when it does shift, I'm going to have a team of soldiers
Right.
that I'm going to need that I didn't have in 2008 and 9 because I was the soldier.
So the Bobs gave you some good advice about focusing on your local area. What else have they told you?
That this is not going to be the last cycle, but we got a good
Few
24
years
to 36 months
Yep.
of a strong real estate market.
And how are they coming up with that? Just based on data, like we were talking about earlier?
Data,
Facts?
data, and there's a lot of stuff from their gut, which I can appreciate.
Yeah.
But
It's like being a surfer. You know when the swell's coming. You know when it's dying down. Like you've been in it. Like people who are new to surfing don't get that. But like you've been doing it since you were, 10, 15. Like you in your 40, a big swell's coming.
That's a perfect example too. So you have this whole entire lineup, right?
Right.
And you've got these young Groms that are there that can do the airs and they've, all this stuff.
Right.
And then you got the older salty dogs. They might feel like this big set coming in before them because they're talking and they're doing whatever.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, all the old dogs are paddling for the outside. And everybody's like, what are you guys?
Where'd they go? Yeah.
And then you start to see them coming in.
Right.
It's that feeling you have that's hard to explain.
Right.
Because you have so many economic markers
Right.
that start to go off.
Yep.
I mean, and I just listen to them. I'm like, look, you guys have 30 plus years in the game, longer than me.
Right.
I just follow them. And they haven't been cleaned out once.
It's amazing. And I'm, I feel like that's 100% right. I mean, tomorrow an asteroid could hit us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not tomorrow because we would see it.
Yeah, we'd probably see it coming. But yeah.
But we could be told an asteroid's coming, right? Or whatever. But apart from that happening or something even crazier than the pandemic, if things if there's no massive black swans like there just was, then I agree. I think we're going to have a rebound to the economy.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a very strong rest of the summer. And then next year is going to be super strong.
Yes.
And then probably in a few more years or 2 more years after that. But I mean, when we were talking, I think a year ago, we kind of were thinking like, okay, there could be a correction in the stock market because that was, heating up.
I was going hard with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, like, history repeats itself. There was the 9/11 and then there was the .com bubble. You could feel that little cycle. And then the 9/11, and then it's like, you can kind of like look back at history and see, and, I was part of that a little bit when I was in the mortgage business earlier on in my career. But, this same kind of thing is like, you see a pullback in the stock market real quick, but then it's a fast drop versus a long drawn out drop. So then that probably means it's going to be a quicker upside. Same with real estate. It's like you pause it and then you just, it's almost like we hit pause and then did our thing for a few months, then put it back on. For most people, you were killing it and crushing it. But I agree. I think things should be really good, regardless of who wins. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't watch all the news, like, it doesn't affect you that much.
You wouldn't even know.
You wouldn't even know what's going on,
Wouldn't
right?
even know.
Unless you live downtown, you know, LA or
Then you would know.
yeah. You're like, what the heck's
What's going on right now?
Yeah, this is nuts. And then like in Seattle, there's like a little autonomous, or have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah. So that, I don't know, that probably won't last that long, I'm thinking.
No.
But you know, you've told me a little bit about what you're doing to market yourself. I think all that's amazing. Getting new business. You've told me about your meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, what are the next two things that you think that make you successful as Andy Dane Carter?
Probably I stay pretty humble. Like, I don't drive a bunch of fancy cars.
Yeah.
I stay really, really grounded in who I am and where I came from.
Yeah.
And for me, that's really important.
Right.
I like to stay in my lanes. Like, I like to help people, which is big. But I'm constantly addicted to learning new stuff. Like,
that's huge.
I get really frustrated if I'm not learning something new. Again, drives my wife bananas.
How do you learn? Do you learn books, podcasts,
I'm more of like a
video?
visual and
Right.
I'm like audio learner. I'm super dyslexic. I've got all kinds of stuff to like mess me up from learning. So I learn at a very different rate. But I'm more of like, I've got gear 1 or gear 6. So I'm either kind of thinking about it or I'm all in. I'm going to learn everything about it.
Right.
And that's like, for me, that's always my strong suit. And I just give myself, again, tons of permission to win and enough runway to pull it off.
Right.
So I'm like, here was a huge example. I wanted to start a podcast and I had no idea how to start. I had no idea what it was going to do. I just decided I was going to. I bought all the gear, didn't launch it for a year because of fear, but I just like to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as my brain is in the process of learning or in the secondary process of mastery, I'm fulfilled. And then I'm actually leading by example for my family. And that's like very important for me, you know, and it's like a legacy play. Like, I'm not a one-trick pony. I have a lot of different things about me that I enjoy. So I try to share those things.
That's huge. And your mind is a muscle, right? I mean, if you don't learn, you're kind of like, I think that's such a huge thing to do, is always to use your mind and to learn new things, be open, right? Like, part of your being humble is also probably big reason on why, you know, you're open to learning, right? Because you're like, I don't already know everything. If you're not humble, you think you know it all, right? And you're not going to go out and try to learn and be a sponge and just fill your mind with new stuff. There's plenty of room. There's tons of hard drive space up there.
Tons.
You can learn so much and never stop, right? Until you're dead. So I think that's a huge thing. And I think people, if they're listening to this podcast, that they're also in that same boat. They want to learn. They want to hear things. They want to hear new ideas. They want to hear how they can better themselves, right? And how they can become, you know, the best them.
Yeah, because there's so many studies out there that when we are in the state of learning something new as humans, we're the happiest.
Yeah. So was that the second thing? Is there a third thing? I think you said humble and then learning.
Humble, learning, and you have to exercise, my friends.
You do.
Like, the secret to life is exercise. I don't always like to do it, but I also know it's so important.
Right.
I sleep better. It helps with all of the different hormone levels that are in my body to keep me happy and healthy, and it burns up stress. Like, it does. It's like the miracle drug for all of our ailments and all of our diseases. You can usually fix with sleep, water, and exercise.
Yeah.
Like, so why wouldn't you incorporate those things into your life if it's going to help?
Right.
And so for me, it's always trying to stay, again, in front of those things so I can, you know,
what's
be
your
there for my
favorite
kids.
workout?
I like a lot of yoga, and I like cycling. I like, you know.
Do you have a Peloton? Or you
I do. Oh, yeah, Peloton.
Peloton's
and the
awesome.
treadmill and the rower. And, you know, I like to move. I like to move my body, and it's fun.
That's good. I just started getting into swimming, like treading water.
It's great. Swimming's amazing.
I mean, I don't have a big enough pool to swim laps and stuff, but treading water, that's a good workout.
It's very difficult. You ask any water polo player, and you're like, if you can tread water for a long time, you get a phenomenal workout.
Yeah, that's a good one. And the Peloton thing is huge because it's like, it's sitting there staring at you in the morning or when you walk by it or whatever, and you're like, okay, I need to get on that. And then
20 minutes.
But then I think creating a habit is like what you were saying is like, and you touched on that, but how important is it to create those habits? And it takes 10 days, 14 days of just doing it every day. And then you're going to be like, okay, now I'm doing it.
It's where all the freedom is.
Yeah.
You create leverage on yourself.
Right.
I make them a non-negotiable. I literally play these little games with myself, like something bad will happen to my kids if I don't do it.
Oh, that's good.
I go super deep to make sure that I'm held accountable.
If I don't get up and do the Peloton this morning, my kid's
going to break
gonna
his leg or something.
Get coronavirus.
Totally. Like I play these weird.
He'd be the one kid that gets coronavirus.
That's right. The only one in the whole country. Be my fault.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what works. And so like right now, I'm doing no carbs, no sugar. And the first 3 days were a pain. Like I could smell and taste ice cream. Like
it is. We are addicted as a
very much
society to carbs. To
Yes.
So
for me, it was like, how long will this last?
Yep.
Lasted 4 days. Now I'm on day 12.
Yep.
I don't miss it. It's been great. I feel better. I sleep better. I don't get headaches in the afternoon like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So now it becomes a conscious choice, right? Now it's like, this helps you,
Right.
but you're going to now not do it. So now there's the guilt and the shame that goes with it.
You're going to be better if you do this, and if you don't, you're going to be worse.
So the choice is yours.
Yeah. That's so.
Same in business.
And
It's
we
the same
all
everything
have
else.
time. Being busy is a choice in a lot of ways. It's like, oh, I don't have time to work out. I got well, you're not going to have time if you die.
If you have a heart attack, it's over.
You're going to have no time. So take care of yourself first. And then you'll have more energy. You'll be able to have focus.
Yep.
Like you said, less headaches. What other hacks? Like, I know there's some biohacks that you probably do. Like I know you said bulletproof.
Bulletproof coffee every morning. I love it. I stay full. I have tons of energy.
So it's like intermittent fasting in a way too.
Correct. Yeah. So I usually don't eat my first meal until 1, or 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
And the most crazy thing about this whole little process that I've been doing, I'm fuller faster. So I'm eating less because my stomach is smaller. Yeah. I'm clear, have more energy, which I heard forever but didn't actually do, and now I feel it.
Well, people, you've heard people say, "Well, eat your food, or you're not gonna be able to study, or you're not gonna have a good day." And you're like,
not true.
Actually, it's the opposite.
Yeah. And then you get way more focused, and then so by 5 o'clock when I'm supposed to have dinner with the family,
right,
it's a lot less. So now I'm getting fuller, faster. And then it's this little, it took me 12 days to get to this place out of the 43 years I've had on this planet. And now it's like, why wouldn't I do this? This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah. For me during COVID, I think they said the COVID-19, I think I didn't put on 19 pounds, but I put on 9.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing? Because there's you get this in this mode of I don't know, I'm going to eat, I'm bored or whatever. You're not really bored, but you're what else is there to do? You can't change the fact that we're locked down. And I think in the first month here in San Diego, it was raining a lot.
A ton.
And I was thinking I'm so glad I don't live in Chicago where it's snowing or wherever, where it's snowing. And, but still, it was still raining nonstop. And you're okay, I'm going to have some great sourdough bread with,
soup and
grilled
cheese. Yeah, all that stuff.
And so I put on weight, and I'm God, now I've got to go do what you said, 14 days of this to get a new habit.
It's called a pattern interrupt. You got to give yourself a pattern interrupt to smack yourself in the face.
Yeah, because it's so easy putting it on and so hard to put it off.
Especially as you get older. Yeah. And so for me, I did not change one habit for COVID. I still woke up, did the same thing. And I would leave the house. My wife's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go drive properties because I refuse to let this thing slow me down.
Yeah, that's
and I
awesome.
Stayed into that schedule. And she's like, you're going to bring COVID home. We had big old fights about it.
Yeah.
It was a real thing in our household.
But I'm going to be in my car by myself.
By myself. I'm going to be at the office by myself on the computer. And then I'm going to be home with you guys.
Yeah, so
I'm safe.
COVID's not in mosquitoes that we know.
That's right.
And there's no real mosquitoes here, so.
True. So for me, it was just stay the course. And then it worked. And I was always the one I was trying to stay positive out of the whole thing. I was like, look, this is going to be over in a week or two.
Yeah.
I just kept saying it. This is going to be over in a week or two.
Right.
and we're still here. But I'm still saying it. It's going to be over in a week.
It's going to be 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks are done.
2 more weeks. July 1st, it'll be over.
I mean, I heard that now, news these days, ever since it was 24/7, it got terrible. News is just clickbait and just headlines that are just ridiculous. Like they'll say there's been a 33% increase in COVID cases in this one small town that had 4 cases. So like one more person got it, so they'll instead of saying one more person got COVID in this town, they'll say there's a spike of 33%.
They're manipulating the math to their benefit, which is why like CNN and NBC, all these people lost crazy credibility.
Right.
They lost major sponsor dollars because of it.
Yeah. And that's happening. But like my point I think I was trying to make is that the fact that COVID continues to be this fearful thing, like there's people that say, okay, we're going to lock down again, and then I think I've heard other people say there's no way, like people won't buy it. People aren't going to do it. Right. So, we'll see.
I just adapt. I stay very...
Well, you find a way to win no matter what.
And it's because of how I was raised. I was raised with nothing.
Yeah.
Like we had nothing.
Same here. I mean, I had a house with some food, but
yeah. I mean, we moved
good parents. But
17 times from when I was 4 to
same exact thing. 17 times.
It was insane. So like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
I might not like it,
right?
But I'm still gonna figure it out,
right?
Because there's no other choice. What am I gonna do? Just sit there and lay down?
Yeah. No.
I'm not gonna let my kids be like, why is dad on the couch for 3 days?
Yeah. Right.
That's never gonna happen.
And I think we talked about this before, but kids when they're young are being programmed, right? Because their minds they come in blank state. They don't come in knowing math or English so they're being programmed and they're watching us, right? Like, so whatever you do as a parent, when your kids are 0 to 9 or whatever that age is, they're being programmed to know kind of how their future is going to be in a way.
That's right.
And that's what just spurred that on. As you said, you don't want your kids to see you sitting on the couch for 3 days.
No way.
They're going to go like, okay, when there's bad things that happen, I just sit on the couch.
Dad goes to work.
Yeah.
He goes to help fix it.
Yeah.
And we're very mindful of the conversations we have in front of our kids.
That's huge.
Like, we don't talk about the stuff that's bad and negative and this and that. Like,
right.
No. They're going to have their whole lives to be fed that stuff.
Sure.
They don't need it from us.
Right. That's
so
huge.
we stay in front of that. And we had talks about the riots and we had talks about the stuff that's going on. But like, they're 4 and 6, but they're 4 and 6. It's not like they're 2 and 3.
Right.
So we're just trying to be very mindful.
They're kind of seeing people with masks on and like,
and they've got their own little mask.
Right.
My 4-year-old hates it. He's like, I don't care if I get COVID. But that's his personality. Like he's a pistol.
Yeah.
And my wife's she's like, how much fun is it to parent yourself? I'm like, it's awesome. It's great.
This is like my little sidekick. He's like mini me.
Full of fire and just piss and vinegar.
I bet he's going to crush it.
He will.
I'm sure both. You have 2 sons, right?
Yeah, 2 boys.
They're going to both crush it.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to ask you was, how do you, like, because our podcast is around mortgages, right? So like, how do you see, using a mortgage broker in like, has anything changed there? Has there been a lot of help during this time with mortgage brokers? Like the people that I know they're crushing it because rates are low. So they're doing a lot of Fannie Freddie. But then during this time, there was no non-QM, like what I do, right? What we do. So that kind of went away for a while. So the people that focus on non-QM had a tough last 60, 90 days.
Yes.
But these Fannie Freddie, Govy lenders,
the refi machines,
they're rich.
Yes.
They're cashing in. Like when the sun's out, make hay, right? Like they're making so much hay.
And there's 60 to 100 loans a month.
Like they'll have their biggest year probably ever.
I've got 2 that have been in the business for over 20 years. They literally can't keep up.
Yeah. And there's like 2-3 weeks in underwriting. There's locks are having to be extended. It's a crazy time right now. How do you see, like, do you see that, like, these guys are all focused on refis now, and so it's hard because you're an agent and you can't get, hey, I'm over here, like, remember me, the guy that gave you these leads, right.
Like the first ones,
the first, and now you're busy refining those guys that I gave you, I'm sure, mortgage brokers need to take time for their agents and to remember this isn't going to last forever. The low rates, even if they stay low forever, people are going to, that's a fuse. It's going to, And then they're not going to be able to refi those people. So what is your message to mortgage brokers to stay in touch with their agents during these times?
it's to be of service. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're very much of service to them, and it's a phone call and you have a deal.
Right.
I would love to have that happen to me as many times as it happens to my loan officers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, like, it takes a long time to build a relationship and a very short period of time to crush it.
Right.
So, and I'm very upfront with them, all of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, here's where we're at. Here's what we need to do.
Right.
But it's for me, it's the data. I need the knowledge. I need to know what you're hearing on your end so I can continue to react on my end.
Yeah.
So as long as we're still kind of working together, we're good.
Yeah.
But the day that you move my file from the first spot to the 60th spot,
Right.
you might as well just delete my number because the business is over.
Yeah, because there's a lot of mortgage people out there. There's a lot
Just
of them.
like agents.
Yeah. So that maintaining that relationship and knowing, like when Andy calls, you answer.
Yeah, and just make the calls.
Yeah.
Just like a real estate professional is going to reach out to an old client or a past client.
Right.
Like,
You got to make your
calls.
calls.
This is a B2B business. Like, you got
Right.
you got to get to your agents, be like, hey, how's everything going out there? Not sure if you know, but there's an awesome program, and we can get this client that bought 2 years ago down to 2.8. Should I
Right.
call them or do you want to?
Yeah, that's good.
That's somebody who's now helping my business and reaching out for me because it might be time for them to trade up or trade down because they bought a 2.1. Now they need a 3.2 because they have a COVID kid coming.
Right.
So, like, we're a team.
That's good.
And when you work with your mortgage professional like that, everybody wins. Clients,
Absolutely.
you do.
And I think
everybody.
it goes back to what you said earlier about taking charge of your day, right? Like being proactive versus reactive. I think if you just sit there and take all your calls and and maybe play catcher for the month or two when you're doing refis, you're not saying, okay, well, I'm going to block off 6 hours to do that, and then my 2 hours I'm going to use to do outbound calls. So I'm going to take charge of my life and my future to ensure that I have a future when this dries up, when the refi boom dries up.
Of course. Like what you did. You literally had this giant thing removed from your leg and you're making calls the next day. Like,
you have to do it.
You do what you have to do to get it done. Like, that's the thing. I don't care what your excuse is. I don't care what it is. When you have the, like, I'm going to figure it out mindset,
Right.
you don't have problems.
Right. Or if you do, you can solve them. And
That's right.
you get. And that's a skill I think that luckily some people that have to move 17 times in their life or they start out with nothing, they kind of learn that just as a kid or as a young person. And then some people have to learn it as an older person because that's
It's
just
a lot easier as a kid.
Yeah, it is. And like I think that's in a way that's a privilege that we've had
I agree.
because and I think as Gary Vee says sometimes, like, I have people that are super rich crying to me that they wish they didn't have so much money given to them as a trust fund kid or whatever. But like, I think, you get your cards dealt, right? And you deal with what you get. And then you just have to keep moving and learning and becoming better and never stop learning and never stop fighting and trying and right.
Keep it real simple. Like, and that's the thing. Like, so it's not even been a year that I've been doing traditional real estate and trying to build a team.
Yeah.
We're not even in July and I've annihilated my goal 6 months
amazing.
in the middle of a global lockdown, in the middle of this big financial dip, just because, like, I'm going to go and get my business.
Yeah.
If there's a for sale sign somewhere in the neighborhood that's not mine, that there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's so many clowns in our business on both sides, mortgage business and realtors.
Right.
Why are they doing business and I'm not?
Yeah.
Like, are they making more calls? I'll make more calls then.
Yeah. Right?
So the business is out there. We live in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, there's a trillion ways to become a millionaire.
There are.
Pick one.
Figure it out. Yeah. And you got to work, though. You got to work. You got to put the work in,
It's not going to be
right?
given to you, yeah.
It's not going to be like I bought a lotto ticket, I won the lottery. You got to buy a lot of tickets to win.
It's way easier.
And you may still never win, but
Effort.
at least with work ethic and with applying that same concept to a business, you can win. Like, I think someone said like persistence or being relentless or one of those things is one of the biggest keys to success, because you could be not the best looking person. You could be have a speech impediment. You can have whatever it is. And if you just continue to try and go, you're gonna hit the nail at some point and you're gonna get it done. But if you just give up, Never gonna
that
get done.
feeling feels terrible. Like I hate even like to hear like the give up thing.
Yeah.
It eats at me like no other. I hate it. I would rather be second than quit. Like I can't. I just don't have it in me.
That's good stuff. Anything you want to leave us with our team, or anything questions you wanted to ask, or like about mortgages?
Yeah, I mean like
what are real estate guys thinking about mortgages right now?
That there's just crazy interest rates, so that it's super low. That's great. Maybe about the maybe like the jumbo space, maybe the space because it was super hot and then it got super cold.
Yeah,
and now it's starting to heat back up again with some discounts. So I mean, like, I would love to hear what you guys are seeing in that space, maybe from like the 7 to 20 million range.
So a lot of the super jumbo stuff is gone.
Yeah, I figured
out. Private money can still do it.
Yeah.
We have an insurance company that is interested in buying some big loans, but they cap out at 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to dabble back into that. I know we, made our claim to fame is that they're the super jumbo lender, FundLoans, and I see it coming back, but still people are nervous because a $10 million house can become a $5 million house real fast. If there's no buyers for it, right?
That's right.
If you have the Taj Mahal looking house and like all of a sudden everyone wants the farmhouse or the modern, different, like that can switch pretty quick.
Yes.
And especially with like you were saying, houses by the ocean, they're small. And like now people are like, I kind of want to go in, maybe
Inland.
have two acres with a
ranch,
sick one story, right? Still sprawled out with a guest house. I can have my parents there or whatever. And, but jumbo, to answer your question, I see it coming back. It's not going to be the same right now, but in the near future, it's going to be back. Still, some of the community banks will do stuff for their special clients, like
of course
First Republic, right? It's going to do some special things. If you got $1 million with First Republic, they'll give you a pretty great deal. That sucks for mortgage brokers because it sucks and it's good because a lot of people don't want to leave their money in a bank like that. They use, especially self-employed people, they're like, I don't want to park $1 million at this bank and just let it sit there. I can make a lot more money on my money buying rentals.
That's right.
So, we're seeing it come back. We're seeing non-QM 2.0, which is, I thought it was gonna be a lot worse. I thought it was gonna be like really, really low LTVs again, because that's kind of how it started with bank statement loans and all that. But now it's we're up to 75 LTV now on a bank statement loan.
That's not bad.
And we're up to 85 potentially on a purchase full doc with non-QM, up to certain loan amounts. And then like the DSCR, about that, like debt service coverage ratio loans, the investment properties where you just use the cash flow so you don't have to qualify with your tax returns or income and you're just qualifying with the property. Those are going back up to 65, 70 LTV. So, and I see that probably going up to 75 and 80 over time. And, when it's like competition, right? When one fund comes back or one REIT comes back, then they all kind of like, okay, well, we want more business, and it expands. So we're going to be in a time of expansion over the next year. Yeah. The first products are like I said, better than I thought. So it's already good, and it's just going to get better as long as the economy stays going good.
I think it's going to be good. I think we got a good run.
Yeah, I think.
What's going to push it down? We've already had the biggest thing in our history push it down, and it rebounded like a ball. Yeah,
in 100 years, that's interesting because we thought it was going to be really bad, right? We thought. I remember listening to Gavin Newsom saying 2 million people are going to die in California.
I wanted to choke him.
I know
said that, but yeah,
I was like, that's not going to happen, but okay, because everyone's at home, right, during this time. And
it's a great way to control people.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that
2 million of you are going to die. Stay inside.
Stay inside. Don't come out.
And don't spend any money.
Right. And, now let's say, and I posted this on Facebook a while back. I got a ton of, haters. But I was saying, what if, what we did today and what the reaction that they did creates like a never cry wolf scenario, right? Where like then there's an Ebola that's contagious. And we're like, what? You guys are you didn't know anything about the last. There was so many, this side, that side. And CDC changed their story 10 times. The WHO changed their story a dozen times. Like, do we just not trust them anymore? Like, I think there's going to be people that do.
It's going to be an interesting thing. And this could be like the new kind of cycle.
Yeah.
Like, this is the new cycles.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
It's more around health versus like,
Yes.
because the fundamentals are good, with loans, very good with loans,
And it's safe.
It's hard to get a loan still.
It's still hard to get a loan. You still can't be a clown, which is great.
You got to have a down payment.
And you're buying a hard asset that you get to own to the center of the earth.
Yeah.
And you get to own all of the airspace to space.
Right.
And you get to own a piece of this country.
Yep. And this, I've been in a lot of different countries.
Me
It's
too.
still a really great country.
Yeah.
We have our problems, but try going to some other countries and spend some time there. You'll find out that America's great.
I've talked to a lot of people that have come here with nothing, and they're like, I would rather have nothing here than nothing where I'm from.
Yep. Or something from where I'm from,
That's
right?
right.
Because a lot of them left. You talk to people, just spend time. I think it's really great to open your mind, like we were talking about earlier, and be open and be humble and realize that there's a lot of people still wanting to come to America, like from all over the world. They want to come here.
Most of the planet.
Right. And they're coming, they want to come here for a reason.
To have a different life. And there's this guy that cuts my hair. He cuts my kids' hair. Super great guy. Very humble. He had the hardest time with homeless people when he got here because he couldn't speak the language. He couldn't write his name. He couldn't do anything. He was working 3 jobs, and he's like, there are people that are living on the street that speak English. They have all these opportunities. And I never looked at it like
That's
that
a cool way to
until
look at
he's
it.
kind of cutting my hair, and he's like, I couldn't figure out how there's people that speak this language that have endless opportunities but aren't taking advantage of it.
Yeah. And he has this huge disadvantage of not being able to speak English.
Yeah. And then 10 years later, he now has his own business and he's crushing. He just bought a condo. Like, he's living the American dream and is so grateful.
Yeah.
And it's like, I never looked at it like that from his lens.
That's a mindset, right? That's like, different mindset, different. Yeah, that's interesting. Really good.
So yeah, man, I just think this whole thing is going to be mindset. Like, how do you look at it? I just did a podcast on like, how do you show up when things get bad?
Yeah.
Like, how do you perform?
Yeah. You gotta do it. It's mindset.
That's it.
You can like literally look at same thing 2 different ways, right? You can like, this guy cuts you off in front of you. You can be like, this guy's an asshole. Or you can be like, that guy probably has to get somewhere real fast and I don't necessarily need to as much.
I don't care.
Or he's got to go to the hospital or his wife's in labor.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, he's a dick. He's an ass, whatever. You can be a total, and that's on you. You can control that narrative and decide, are you going to make him ruin your day? Or are you going to say,
We only have so much energy.
Yeah.
Where do you want to put it? Do you want to put it in someone that cuts you off? Sometimes I do. I choose that.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't help it because that's just, because it is kind of lame when someone does that. Obviously.
Pisses me off. Yeah.
Yeah. But, still like that's something you can choose to control if you meditate and you breathe and
Create that space.
yeah, for sure. Well, cool, man. I'm stoked that you came back. Is this the 4th podcast we've done? 3rd or 4th?
I think the 3rd one on your show, and you've been on mine twice. So
Yes.
yeah, we got a good track record going.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love
lot of
getting
good
your
data.
perspective on real estate. And
Thank you.
thanks for all the things you're doing in your community and being here. And
Thanks, man.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Obviously, follow Andy Dane Carter for more of your, you have a great show and give a ton of information on real estate. So
Thank you.
thanks for being on. We'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you guys are looking for more content like this, we have a FundLoans YouTube channel where we give away more tips, secrets, and origination ideas. You can also email us at info@fundloans.com. And if you've made it this far, I think it's safe to say you like our content. So please subscribe, share, and send us your scenarios. Let's fund loans together.